Hi, I'm Rick Jones, and I'm on staff at Bellevue. This is part 2 of our discussion on If God, Why Evil? If God is so good, why does evil exist? This is one of the most common questions I hear people ask. Evil is defined as a lack or a corruption of God's good design and purpose. God did not create evil, but He did create free will. Free will is a good thing. Without free will, love would not be possible, and I don't think anyone would say love is a bad thing. Free will makes love possible, but it also allows for the possibility of evil. Now, the problem of evil and suffering is one of the most common reasons people deny God's existence or reject the God of the Bible. One study revealed 29% of Gen Z cite evil and suffering as their greatest reason for denying God. Another study revealed that 90% of suffering experienced by humans is caused by humans. This question has been around for a long time. An ancient Greek philosopher by the name of Epicurus is credited with writing what is called Epicurus' trilemma. The argument deals with God and the existence of evil. It goes like this: if God is unable to prevent evil, then He isn't all-powerful. If God is not willing to prevent evil, He's not all good. If God is willing and able to prevent evil, then why does evil exist? Is He neither able nor willing? Then why call Him God? Many today use His trilemma as a knockdown argument against God's existence. Does this argument remove God from the picture of the universe? Not at all. God does not cause evil, but He does permit evil. But because God permits evil does not mean He is uncaring or cold or aloof. When we suffer at the hands of evil, we do not suffer alone. Hebrews 2:18 says, "For since He Himself, Jesus, was tempted in that which He has suffered, He is able to come to the aid of those who are tempted." Hebrews 4, verses 15 and 16 tells us, "For we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who has been tempted in all things as we are, yet without sin. Therefore let us draw near with confidence to the throne of grace, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need." God cares deeply for you. So why would a loving God permit evil and suffering to exist? Does evil and suffering serve any good purpose? Because we are finite or limited beings, we are not all-knowing. Just because we don't know a good purpose for some evil does not mean there is no good purpose for evil. And as finite beings, we should not expect to know the purpose for all things. On the other hand, God is all-knowing and all-loving, and He has a good purpose for all that He does and permits, even with suffering and evil. Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that God causes all things to work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to His purpose." We see evil happening today that we may not be able to explain, but through the passing of time, we may see the good that comes through suffering. We see a biblical example of this with Joseph in Genesis 50:20. Joseph says to his brothers, "As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good in order to bring about this present result, to preserve many people alive." Another example is with the Apostle Peter. Peter denies Christ and becomes utterly broken over his sin. After Jesus resurrects from the grave, He restores Peter to a right relationship with Himself. Then in the book of Acts, we see Peter leading the church. Through Peter's brokenness and Christ's restoration, Peter has become spiritually ready to lead. Let's look at one final example from the Bible of evil that was used for good. The greatest possible evil was the crucifixion of Christ. Jesus, the God-man, never sinned, yet He was brutalized and finally crucified for the sins of all humanity. This horrific evil brought about the greatest possible good, the salvation of sinners like you and me. Because God, a loving God, has brought good out of past evils and sufferings, we can trust Him to do so again and again and again. What are some good things that can come about in our lives through pain and suffering? Pain and suffering can make us stronger spiritually, mentally, and even physically. Going through pain and suffering today can equip us to help others later on. Evil, pain, and suffering can turn our hearts to God. Pain and suffering can develop godly character in our lives. Romans 5, verses 3 through 4 tells us, "And not only this, but we also exult in our tribulations, knowing that tribulation brings about perseverance, and perseverance proven character, and proven character hope." We can also see that God's glory can be displayed through our suffering. 1 Peter 1, 6 through 7 tells us, "In this you greatly rejoice, even though now for a little while, if necessary, you have been distressed by various trials, so that the proof of your faith, being more precious than gold, which is perishable, even though tested by fire, may be found to result in praise and glory and honor at the revelation of Jesus Christ. Let me close with this last thought. We learn more about God and ourselves when we walk through the valleys of life with our eyes fixed upon Jesus. When we do this, our character and our actions look more like Him. Thanks for walking through this problem of evil with me. I pray that you're blessed by it and you're grown by it.